Good morning. Welcome back. A little bit of Java. Today will be a little bit different. I haven't done anything machining related in a while, but it also kind of has to do with a topic and a problem when you go to upgrade your compensating sprocket. So we're going to kind of roll a couple of things into this video here. And what I want to talk about is actually measuring run out on the sprocket shaft of the crank. Now, the sprocket shaft side, for those that don't know, is the side that shoots into the primary that has all the splines on it. The pinion shaft side is the side that goes through the oil pump. Now, we all know that measuring, look at that, ring, ring, ring. Measuring pinion shaft run out is important when you're installing a cam plate and oil pump. But then there's the sprocket shaft side. So the guys that really want to tune into this video, if any of you are doing any performance upgrades whatsoever, if you're doing anything to your crankshaft or flywheel assembly, whatever you want to call it, or if you're considering the installation of a new compensating sprocket, being one from Dark Horse or Baker, or whichever one you choose, this is something that you want to measure, and we're going to talk about that. Also, all too often I get phone calls from folks that said, man, I've put 2 or 3 or 4 compensating sprockets into my Harley-Davidson and they keep failing. Will this one solve my problem? Well, the truth of the matter is, guys, if you're having to take the same exact part and replace it 2, 3, 4 times, there's obviously a problem that is present that is potentially creating those failures. So, quite frankly, you can't have that many bad components. So there has to be a reason that those compensating sprockets are failing. And measuring the run out of that sprocket shaft is one of those things that can help you determine the cause of those repetitive failures. So this is something that you would want to take a look at. Now, for today, there's going to be a little bit of a machining process here. And I'll start with the why the machining process. This is a dial indicator that measures to 1/2 thousandths of an inch. And this is what I use to measure sprocket and pinion shafts, and not just this one. I've got a whole bunch of these, of course. Any machine shop would, for various different things. Now, that being said, as you guys know, I moved a few months ago, and I'm still scratching my head trying to look for some things. There's things I can't find, and one of the things that I can't find is I had a Starrett set of tips for dial indicators. Not a lot of people know that this is a thing, but the tips on most dial indicators are removable. See this right here? And you unscrew this. All right. Now, in here, you would put different tips. It could be a pinpoint measurement. It could be a ball, but one of those things is, I'm going to call it a mushroom. It has a rounded, radiused, large diameter tip. And what that does is allow you to measure that sprocket shaft run out more easily. I've seen guys trying to measure sprocket shaft run out with one of these, and the problem is with that point that comes standard on virtually every dial indicator, you're having to jump across the splines, and it does like this. Well, then I've seen folks try to put a sleeve on top of it, and that has its variances. And then I've also seen people wrap tape around those splines and just try to get this to ride over it, and that's not really that accurate either. Another way is I've seen people just barely touch off on the top of the splines and just try to squeak it over. Well, invariably, you can get some deflection of this, the shaft moving, catching on the splines. It's a matter of accuracy, all right? Well, back to me moving, I can't find my Starrett set of tips for my indicators, which stinks because that box of tips is a couple $100. Now, of course, that's from Starrett or Brown & Sharp, you know, the place where the good stuff comes from. I could pick up the phone or hit my little pocket computer there and order a set of them off of Amazon or something like that and get some overseas stuff in here for a few bucks. But that's going to take a few days to get it here, and I don't have time to do that. I've got several engines that I'm building right now, and I need to measure those engines right now, and I don't want to wait a few days for something that I could simply make myself. So we're going to make a tip that's going to work for me, and then I'll hopefully find my Starrett set at some point. It's a relatively easy thing to make. It's actually something you could probably do on a drill press if you wanted to. I mean, if you're a DIY guy, again, sometimes you don't need to buy crazy expensive tools. But if you've got a drill press and a 1/2 inch little stick of aluminum or something like that, a piece of round bar, this is something you could make yourself with a drill press, very carefully, a vise and a file, and it'd be able to get you a measurement accurate enough that you can determine if, say, a dark horse compensator would be appropriate for your crankshaft based on the sprocket shaft runout and that sort of thing. So that's what I try to do with this channel sometimes, is help you DIY guys, and tools are very, very expensive. So we're going to kind of, I guess, kill two birds with one stone, serve my needs and show you guys how you can make one of these for yourself. I'm going to be making one on my lathe over there. Had a scrap piece of aluminum about that long, and that's all I need to make one. So basically, most dial indicators, yours may vary a little bit, but most dial indicators, the shank size right here is going to be the same. Now, I've measured like 6 of the dial indicators that I have, and the measurement comes out to be the same with every one. And what I have is a shank diameter is 175.5 thousandths. 175.5 thousandths. So it just so happens that a number 16 drill bit, if those of you would have a number 16, is 177 thousandths. Now, in kind of machinists, that term of slip fit no shake, you guys have heard me mention that before. Slip fit no shake fitment is roughly about 2 thousandths, and it can be based on the actual diameter of what you're machining, but close enough. Well, a number 16 drill bit is 177, and at 175.5, I'm at 1.5 slip fit no shake. Now, of course, keep in mind I'm using a drill bit, not a reamer, so I could grow just a little bit there. But the bottom line is that as long as it's consistent and I'm measuring that run out and that piece doesn't spin around on me, I'm going to be close enough. Remember, I'm not measuring to, at the precision of 1 thou here. I'm working on 10, 15, 20 thousandths. So it's going to be okay, is what I'm getting at. You got a little bit of a broad spectrum. So if you have a drill press, a number 16 drill bit, which is at 177 thousandths, and a file, you should be able to make one of these for yourself. And you can do it out of aluminum or steel, of course. And then all you've got to do is unthread this and slide that on there. Now, another thing that may be to your benefit is each of these tips are knurled, so you can get your fingers on there. So if something happens and you're a little bit big, those knurls can take up for a couple of thousandths, and you would still be able to slide it in there. So we'll just see how this works out. It's a real quick element to design. I'm going to do it with a permanent marker on my workbench. And again, guys, this is pretty simple. I've got about a 400 thousandths piece of round aluminum here. So all I'm going to do here is drill a through hole at 177 thousandths. All right. And I really only need to go about 1/4 of an inch deep on that. So I'm going to drill this to 1/4 inch depth on my drill bit, and then this will be the end that will slide onto the shank of the dial indicator. For this side, I think I'm just going to cut it back just a little bit across here just to smooth it out a little. This dimension here isn't really that critical, but what I want to do on this end here is, of course, I'm going to get this perfectly flat on my lathe, and then I'll just take a file and radius this a little bit to make it easier for the splines. Oh man, that's a great drawing. The splines on my sprocket shaft to slide up and slide over. I just want this to be a smooth transition here so I can get an accurate measurement. So let's head over to the lathe and make this happen. Now let's do a little test fit. That's perfect. With that roughly 1.5 thou clearance that I had there, I have a slip fit and no shake. So that is, slide that in there. That's perfect. Slip fit, no shake. So what do they say? Necessity is the mother of invention, right? So anyway, we've removed the tip from this dial indicator. Here's the piece we just made. As you guys can see, it'll slide right over the tip just like that. And with a little massaging, we have slip fit, no shake. It's on there nice and solid. So we can get an accurate measurement with this. And we've got a nice radius tip there. So now let me show you what this is being used for on a case that I'm doing rough assembly and taking measurements. The setup is actually quite simple. You can see I got the little anvil that I made right here on the end of the indicator, and I've just got a piece of steel right here bolted to the case with a magnetic base. As long as you don't have any movement and everything is tight, then you're golden. Now this is an engine case that I've already done the tapered main bearing conversion on. The crank has already been done and everything else. But on this bike, we're going to be running the Dark Horse motor sprocket. And their specification, we want less than 10 thousandths run out on the sprocket shaft to keep that motor sprocket healthy, not produce any problems, vibration, noise, all that type of stuff. So I have my indicator mounted pretty much where the motor sprocket's going to go. Kind of pretty much right here in this area, and we're going to see what our total run out is. Now, we want to get the indicator to where it's at its highest point, and then we're going to set that indicator to 0. I have a 0.5 thousandths there on that side of the shaft, and I'm approaching 1, and then I return back to 0. So in essence, what I have here is a total indicated run out of 1 thousandths, actually a little shy of 1 thousandths. We have 1 thousandths at most total indicated run out along the diameter of this, which is or circumference, I should say, and that is obviously well within tolerance to accept a Dark Horse motor sprocket. Of course, this is just one aspect that goes into building these custom high-precision engines for you guys. And, you know, we want to make sure we've got components coming from various different places. We want to check every component. We want to make sure that everything's going to work and be within tolerance every step along the way. And these are one of those things that need to be checked. So for you DIY guys, I hope this helps you. And just make something like that real quick for a dial indicator so you can check that out specifically on the Dark Horse motor sprocket that requires less than 10 thousandths sprocket shaft run out, but also for you guys that have had repetitive compensating sprocket failures. This is something that should be checked. And if you find you have a sprocket shaft run out that is excessive, 15, 20, 30 thousandths, then that may be the cause of your repetitive failure. Also vibration, noise, inconsistency in primary chain adjusters, things like that. You know, you got to remember in that primary, you have concentric circles that are trying to move together. Engine sprocket, clutch basket, clutch hub. And the more precise each one of the runouts can be on each of those components, the better it's going to be. Less noise, less vibration, smoother shifting, easier to find neutral, less wear and tear, and all that sort of thing. So I hope this helps you guys out. And if any of you can help me find that one box that has all of my Starrett anvils and tips for my dial indicators, that would be great. Until next time, guys, thank you so much for watching. Thanks to the members for your ongoing support. I appreciate all of you. And hope you take care of yourselves and each other. Let's get back to work. Have a good one.